It is Friday and the weekend is upon us, and we're going to jump into another Transformer Slag podcast Patreon listener question. The month of December has given us a lot of Patreon listener questions. If you want to be part of the Transformer Slag Patreon, help support the podcast, let us know we're doing a decent job. Check out the link in the description below or the pinned comment, patreon.com/protoman. What does it get you? It gets your name in the end credit scroll at the end of every segment moving forward. Access to our exclusive Discord, which is the most awesome Transformer Discord in the fandom. And of course, depending on the tier, perhaps even the Patreon listener question. And of course, other stuff. Be sure to check out the Patreon for more information. So we got one from one of our oldest patrons of them all. Probably in our top 5 oldest patrons that we've ever had. Massive Gains wants to know, for the holiday season, he wants to know, you talked about the 2017 BotCon set that never was, that if BotCon would have continued would have been your initial pitch within fun publication. But if animated would have continued, what characters would have you chosen to be made into toys for that retail animated toy line? Obviously leaving out the BotCon stuff that you originally planned. Other characters that you would have liked to see be part of retail. Happy for you to be the voice of the fandom and keep on rocking, Massive Gains. Thank you for the kind words, Massive Gains. And, well, all the stuff that I pitched with BotCon, just to go into that for a second, the 2017 set pitch that I had, which probably would have happened if we did have a 2017 year. All those pitches were obviously stuff that are how BotCon does things, repaints. So everything that I'm going to say in relation to your question, stuff that would have not been repaints and retools. It would have to be straight up from the ground up stuff, which is a lot better in my opinion. Because, just to quickly cover, and I'm not going to cover it all, but my BotCon box set was going to be like an animated prequel story explaining how Ultra Magnus became a Magnus. So he was Ultra Prime first. So it would be me using those Japanese exclusive animated molds, repainting them, and giving the Western audience an opportunity to get their hands on those molds. So take the Windblade Optimus Prime and paint it up in Ultra Magnus colors. Make a white Optimus Prime, make the Ultra Magnus colors, put on that Wingblade armor, and then you have Ultra Prime, before he was Magnus, and you could tell that story. And then you take Hydrodive Bumblebee, again, exclusive to the Japanese market for animated. Take that Hydrodive Bumblebee, repaint it red. Now you got, brand new head sculpt from Boss Fight Studio. We got a brand new Cliff Jumper figure that isn't just the activator. And you could do that Hydrodive Bumblebee in some unique color scheme of your choosing. I was actually thinking of taking the colors of that Bumblebee, the Hydrodive Bumblebee, playset thingy, and maybe doing something that was Action Master related. I wasn't too sure on that one yet. It really would have to do with the gang molding and stuff, but we never got to that point where we now had the runner sheets and be able to look at the gang molding. And of course, the free figure would also be based on something that's already available in the set, so we would take that Cliff Jumper, again, new head sculpt on it, and give you your first ever Wasp figure. Just some examples of that. I could go on and on using the Blackout mold and some of the more obscure molds like RC and stuff like that, and giving you a Paradon Medic and stuff. But that being said, what would I have liked to see in retail if animated continue? Which characters to be turned into toys? Well, they're going to be stuff that's not repaints then. I mean, let's start with the big one. Derek Wyatt gave us a Grandis design. Grandis. I love Grandis. People who aren't familiar with Grandis, he was a base former from the Battlestar's Return of Star Convoy story. Just this giant block of a figure that had a opening chest that made a working elevator and a little Micromaster playset. I love that original toy. The fact that there would be an animated version that probably had just as much craziness, it's almost a tease that Derek put out that design. It was in the show, and we never got anything more than that. We got the Doug base color scheme variant, and that's about it. But nothing of a toy. So it would have been and if you asked me yeah, that would be, maybe it's asking too much, but that would have to be a leader class price point. Give me Grandis, leader class price point, base former. He could interact with all of those legend scale animated figures, which was the Bumblebee, the Optimus Prime, the Starscream, and the Prowl. So they could kind of interact with that playset too, because they would kind of work in scale with that leader class. I think it would have been super cool. Would have been so fun. And it would be an excuse that with that next wave of animated toys, which, however they would have been distributed, gives you an excuse to make some more legend scale animated figures. Then you could go into, well, we did all of those that I just mentioned. Now you could also do like a legend scale Ratchet or Bulkhead or a Megatron. You could kind of then dip into some of those other characters to then be interactive with that leader class Grandis playset. I like playsets. I just like them. Next one. And it's one that we don't really have much of his design to work off of, but I would love to talk about Starsaber. Starsaber pretty much appeared in Yokai-Tron's dojo. He was, according to Derek Wyatt, in the information that was given, is that, he was a swordsman and a fencer, much like his original Generation 1 counterpart, and was part of Yokai-Tron's dojo and his original, I guess we could call them students. And it'd be so cool to get like some kind of animated interpretation of Starsaber. Specifically, like, I know how Derek, like if you look how Derek tackles 90% of the animated designs, they're born out of their Generation 1 counterparts. For every Prowl that's a really unique kind of design based on its namesake, you have stuff like Bumblebee, Jazz, Wheeljack, RC, Hot Rod that are much more infused with the flavor of their origins and their namesake. So I imagine Starsaber would have been no different. All we really have is like a bust head up, and that's already very Generation 1, Transformers Victory. So I imagine that Derek would have done something very similar. Just, picture the Generation 1 Starsaber, that Kunio design with that more animation look, and then give it those proportions of Transformers Animated. And then Derek probably doing his own spin on things. Maybe Starsaber has, a fencing sword. He doesn't have his V-Saber, or his Victory Bledo. He'll have like some kind of thinner blade that's more of a fencing sword, and he has a fencing stance. Who knows? Maybe he'll have something where the the super mode helmet that normally goes over Starsaber kind of goes over like a foil helmet for like fencing, like how they have that protective helmet. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming here. I'm pretty sure Derek would have thought of something really cool, and I would have been like all for it. And of course, that probably would have been a leader class also. Unfortunately, I'm going with all these big expensive leader class toys, but don't worry, my next one won't be the case. And my next one, which is one that I'm pretty sure would make the top 3 of anyone's list of it, something that should have gotten an animated figure that never did. And this one would have probably been a deluxe class, if not pushing it to a Voyager, and I'll get into the specifics of why. But sorry. Specifically an older, reformatted Cybertronian Sorry. Obviously, you have the big issue is, well, she wouldn't be a transforming Transformer product, and that's probably what prevented her from even getting a toy to begin with. But I'm pretty sure, and this is where like I go, well, if she's not going to be a deluxe class, because that's where she would have kind of fit in all of this, if not a legend scale, then you could do something where she's a Voyager, where you give her a deluxe class design, and all her armor pieces and parts could break off and then combine to make some kind of vehicle, so it still has some kind of a transformative aspect to it. That's kind of the way I could have seen it being done, where we could still kind of have an excuse to shoehorn that character in. And sure, even as a deluxe class, she'd be out of scale because she'd be just as tall as some of the deluxe figures. But it's just, I would want something that would have that budget and price point, that design could be done justice. Because yeah, you could do it as a legend scale, and then you're really kind of like shoehorning in a transformation at a legend scale. But the thing that would suck at a legend scale also is, you wouldn't have a bigger paint budget and a bigger plastic budget. The legend scale, even for 2009, 2010 Transformers Animated, would have not afforded that much for a really good-looking Sorry figure in terms of like, the face sculpt of a human character or human-esque kind of character. So that would be definitely, those are like the three that I would definitely have. Those are like the three that, in my opinion, I would love to see be done. And I mean, I could keep going on and on. There's some other, more obscure characters and stuff. And again, more of those repaints that could have been done from different designs, just from that Bumblebee mold, all the different repaints that could have been done. Where's my glyph? Where's my female Bumblebee mold with glyph instead? Retool that. But either way, those are just three. I'm pretty sure everyone else who's listening also has their own suggestions. Lay it on me, guys. Put it in that comment section. I'm pretty sure we would all love to see animated continue. I know I would have. There was so much meat on the bone. And I've said this in the past. Like, when I look at my collection and I have like complete sets of like all those Transformer lines every year, I look at like what came before animated, which was Cybertron, and what came after it, which was Prime, and I just look at the lineup and I go, man, animated was very tiny in comparison to, say, what Transformers Prime as a toy line put out, and before that what Transformers Cybertron did. And that's not even counting getting into the Japanese side and all the extra mini cons and micro variants and everything like that. It gets a little crazy. I have every single piece of animated product from the Western world, and that includes Bumpin' Battlers and all that kind of stuff, and it still doesn't like take as much space as just basic Western Cybertron or basic Western Transformers Prime releases. So it's a very sad thing that line ended as soon as it did, because there was so much meat on the bone that could have been done. That would have been some good meat. Anyways, I hope that answers your question, Massive Gains. And if you want to be a patron like Massive Gains, again, patreon.com/Protoman. Check the pinned comment or description below. I just want to say also, today's Friday. Tomorrow we have a live stream tomorrow. What we're going to be doing, because it's going to be part of a convention weekend. Obviously, I will not be there. Not the right time to be going back to conventions just yet, so I'm going to be holding out on that until the world gets into a better place. I just want to do the responsible thing. But since we're not going to be at the con, we're going to be doing a special live stream tomorrow. Maybe we'll have a guest also, and 100% we're going to be doing a giveaway. We're going to be giving away some stuff to the fans. We're going to send you some cool Transformer product. You get to choose the prizes. We have multiple different prizes to choose from. So be sure to come by tomorrow and check that out. And I hope everyone's having a great weekend. I hope everyone's taking care of themselves, and be good to each other. It's a beautiful world out there.